Welcome back, junk journalers. It's Laura from Hyperstamper, here to show you another one of my antique junk journals. And before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe so that you can see my junk journals before they go on Etsy. I put out 10 a week, about new ones. And this one is actually already on Etsy. I just wanted to feature it because it's one of my favorites, and I can't believe I haven't done a video on it yet. So this beautiful book from 1904, as you can see here, is called Freckles. And I just love the color of it, the image of the clouds and the trees here. And I just added some trim because it was already beautiful. So let's take a little look inside this. Remember, everything in my journals is authentic, antique and vintage ephemera. There's no digital copies, no commercially bought papers. It's all real. So I made this tag out of all kinds of antique ephemera and clusters. And this is a lovely antique postcard from the early 1900s, very early. And that is mounted on top of an antique book page. And look at this lovely bulrush image over here on the original first page of the book. Caveat, the only non-authentic antique paper are the tea-dyed pages that I added because you do need more blank pages to journal on and do your art on. And I hand stamped those. So this is a 1930s music sheet. It's a little cluster, and that's the inside of a book signature spine. And this is an antique book page for journaling on. Okay, from a history book. And oh, wonderful, wonderful magazine, 1950s McCall's magazine image. And oh, this is a carbon copy of a Boy Scout book. Somebody typed it up on typewriter, and this was one of the many carbon copies they would have had behind it. For those of you who aren't as old as me, you have to Google what a carbon copy is. Oh, that just makes me sad. This is from a 1940s London, Illustrated London News article. Beautiful images there as well. Oh, there's more of that wonderful magazine. Here's the flip sides of those. A lovely vintage stamp of the King and Queen there. And this is from a yearbook. You'll see more of that coming up. This is the 1926 journal ledger page, and I was happy enough to get some blank ones, which are rare. I also like the ones with writing, but we need those blank ones for journaling. It's from a book, an antique book, and so is the pocket. And I've got birch bark on here with crochet bits and internal spines and a vintage doily. And with the vintage doily, I didn't glue it down just in case somebody didn't want that feature, but you can certainly add a little bit of glue on the back and make it into a pocket. A beautiful image here from a very early 1900s history book, I believe, or geography book, I apologize. In Search of Scotland. How great is that? So that is a Scottish image there, I think. I forget. Sorry. Oh, this is from another one of these wonderful needlework magazines. So how fun is that? Look at those beautiful crocheted images. Oh my God, I remember these on my grandmother's chair, the crocheted armrests and backrests. Maybe you still have some of those in your house. An 1898 stereoscope photo. And that would have been a great souvenir bit back in the late 1800s. And they're hard to come by, so lucky person who gets this journal. And I've got here just a little bit that I took from an antique book, vintage doily piece, antique book page. This is from a children's book. Isn't that fun? All the elephants, Bob's Elephants. And, oh, this is from How to Make a Garden from the early 1900s. A lovely image and in really good condition. So you can journal on the back of that on both sides as well. Here's that elephant story children's page again. And I just made this out of a little paper bag because I wanted something that would pop out so you could stuff more things in it. But on it, I put some antique ephemera that is from an accounting journal from the 1920s. And just a vintage stamp in here. And a 1930s Monopoly property card. And another old vintage playing card. kind of grungy, but I love it. I didn't try to clean it up at all. And that just came from an old book. Nice blank page for you there. And let's flip that over. And we've got more of those tea-dyed pages here. And there's the hockey team. And as a Canadian, it's a little hard to give those up. But there it is from a 1950s yearbook. Isn't that fun? And I just made a little rose here and a removable cluster out of some antique book pages. I try to use as much as I can. I really do. And there's just another little journaling spot that is mounted on a 1934. It's hard to read those Roman numerals, but 1934 music page. Oh, and this is just a wonderful little Saturday Evening Post page. Look at these images, aren't they great? And that's from the 50s. I love it. Love it. You will too. Oh my gosh, there's even more in here. Okay, so here is an 1893 Demarest's Family Magazine page. It's a little brittle, so I want to be careful. But look at the wonderful images on there. You'll have so much fun reading that. What things were like 140 years ago, 130 years ago. 130. Math. Bad math. Anyways, I'm just going to tuck that in there. Giant tag here from a children's do-it-yourself craft book. And as well, another antique book page. Isn't that fun? For more journaling. This one here is a really old book scrap I kept and a vintage stamp. And this came from a vintage pattern, this tag, which I'm using here on my backdrop. And oh, look at little seahorse there from the dictionary, 1940s dictionary page. And this is all removable on a hidden paper clip. And on the back here is two more pockets. One here with an antique book page to journal on, and one here, ditto. Isn't that great? I made that up myself, and I really quite like it. And let's see what's back here. Oh, another very old book page, another 1926 accounting page. And this is from the Magic Garden from the 1920s. And it's got beautiful images that the publisher put on every page. And yes, the classic cheesy recipe book spread from the 50s. And that is, I think, a cherry pie. I love the colors. Oh, this is so pretty. Look at this lovely image. And that is from Beverly Ghost Art from, oh my gosh, it's either the late 1800s or early 1900s. Another tag here that I made out of an antique book page with a beautiful little image. And back here is another pocket that I tucked in here that I made out of an antique book page. And that is a scrapbook page. It is super brittle. It might break. Just fair warning, be gentle with it. And if it breaks, glue it back in somewhere. It'll be fun to have as a little cluster or memorabilia. That's because it's from 1910. Okay, there's another one of these great history book pages. And, oh, ding. And this is just a little mini book that I made for you out of some of my fun scrap papers. More journaling space, and that's tucked into another antique book page. And this page here, Wonders of Transports from 1902. Another little hand stamped image I added just to give it some wow. And oh, there's the it's actually one of the first pages of the book Freckles. Look at that beautiful feather image. And just this also came out of the book, and I wanted to make it live with the book. So another blank page there. One of those wonderful 1945 dictionary pages. And this one's not old. It's only 50 years old, but it's from a 1970s craft magazine. And I made this little tiny envelope here and tucked in one of those yearbook photos. And that was fun. Made a butterfly out of a dictionary page. Heart's Desire from early 1900s. Classic book. 1950s Theater World magazine. Oh, there's Marcel Marceau. That's incredible. Okay, I didn't notice that when I put it in. And these are just, I found these tucked in an old recipe book, and there's somebody's recipes. Aren't they cool? There's 3 of them. I did not do that. That's natural. You can't buy that kind of love. And just, I made that pocket out of a little children's book page. And more of that, little pocket here, and a little piece of antique paper in it. And oh, look at, I tried to use as many of the freckle pages in here as I could from the book Freckles. And that's no exception. Just added a 1950s receipt here. And another Freckles page here. Isn't that wonderful? And these again are some of the original pages I've just left in to give you more journaling space. I hope you love it. Visit Etsy, etsy.com/shop/hyperstamper with a capital H, and take a look at dozens more of my antique journals. I hope you'll subscribe. Bye for now.